What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NBA Bit with Mike Zakarian. NBA free agency is on fire right now. Rumors are swirling all around, but there's one thing we need to talk about that nobody else is talking about. And before we put on our tinfoil hats and really get into it, if it's your first time here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, the little notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping some content. But everybody is talking about how Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak who was in almost every single freaking rumor for the last couple of months, bang, it's done. He's staying in Milwaukee, right? They signed Kevin Porter Jr., very exciting. Gary Trent Jr., also another junior coming back. Taurean Prince. So I'm sure Giannis is staying in Milwaukee, right? But what about Portland?
Hear us out, 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 hear us out.
All right, I know that sounds insane. I know it sounds insane, but what if Giannis Antetokounmpo went to the Portland Trail Blazers, right? Let's talk about Portland here for a second because the Trail Blazers made one of the weirder moves this offseason, right? They went and got Jrue Holiday. You look at the entirety of the Portland Trail Blazers roster, it was a young team. And yes, of course, they played really well last season, especially the second half of the season, kind of getting themselves around defense, right? That was the identity of the Trail Blazers. They got Tumani Kamara, who turned out to be the only good asset of that three-team trade that eventually sent DeAndre Ayton all the way from Phoenix to Portland. And at the time that we're recording this video, we don't even know where DeAndre Ayton's going to land. Pour one out to the Lakers fans who are desperately talking themselves into that being the thing that will fix all of their problems. But DeAndre Ayton gets bought out. They've got Donovan Clingan there. They still have Jeremy Grant. They've got Denny Avdia, who turned out to be like a most improved playing type candidate last season for the Trailblazers. Obviously, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. That now, okay, that sounds like a fun team. If you live in the East Coast, that's like a fun West Coast, what's it called? League Pass team, right? That's what we're talking about here. But they bring in Jrue Holiday for a defensive presence, not defensive presence, but more of like leadership, right? Hashtag leadership. But what if I told you Giannis Antetokounmpo is boys with Jrue Holiday? Does that change anything for you? And you're probably saying, Mike, why would the Bucks be interested in sending him to Portland? And why would they want to blow up this young core that they got already? Well, let's go over some of the Trailblazers assets, shall we? So here's what the Trailblazers have. From 2028 to 2030, the Trailblazers control all of the Milwaukee Bucks draft picks. One of the biggest concerns about the Giannis trade rumors for the last couple of months is that if the Bucks actually do move off of Giannis, they don't have the ability to tank because they do not control their first round picks. A similar situation that we saw the Brooklyn Nets in not too long ago after the Harden KD debacle, and then they ended up overpaying with Houston just to get their draft capital back. That is a similar situation that the Bucks are in because they can't tank. You get rid of Giannis, the draft picks that you get back from that team, you're like, well, how good are those going to be? Because now you just added Giannis, a perennial MVP candidate, top 3 player in the league. You're not going to be able to tank. Well, the Trailblazers actually own the Bucks picks. In 2028 and 2030, they are just straight up pick swaps. So whatever is the worst pick between those two, that is what the Trailblazers would get. They also own their 2029 unprotected pick. Now, they also have the contracts of Jeremy Grant that they could make work. Here are some of the young core players that could be included in a deal to make this work. You have Scoot Henderson, right? You've got Shaedon Sharpe, you got Tumani Kamara, Denny Avdia, Donovan Clingan, Jeremy Grant, all of that to just try to make the money work. They also have the Magic's 2028 unprotected pick. Not as sexy because we know Orlando's making some moves over here. So listen, I'm not saying this is absolutely going to happen. We don't know. But if you are the Milwaukee Bucks and you're trying to hit the reset button, was there ever a time to do it? It's now with this Portland Trailblazers team. The only way that you can actually get back some of that draft capital is by sending Giannis to the Portland Trailblazers. So here we go. In this scenario, the Trailblazers are getting Giannis Antetokounmpo, and that's it. That is going to be the prized asset for the Trailblazers. The Bucks, on the other hand, would get Jeremy Grant, Robert Williams, and then the 2028 first-round pick that's Milwaukee's, the 2029 first-round pick of the Boston Celtics, which if you've been paying attention to their free agency, that could be a very juicy asset in 2029, a 2029 first from Milwaukee that they're getting their asset back, the 2030 first from Milwaukee, and then we'll throw in a 2030 first from the Portland Trailblazers as well. Now, you might be saying like, hey, we should get some more younger assets. You could absolutely mess around with that too. Maybe take one of the firsts away to throw in somebody like Scoot or somebody like Shaedon Sharpe. But by getting rid of Jeremy Grant and Time Lord, that allows them to keep Klingon as one of their bigs, who I do think could play alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo. It keeps Deni Avdija on the roster. It gets rid of the salary of Jeremy Grant and Time Lord, which wasn't really going to be too impactful for this team anyways. And then it keeps that defensive presence with Toumani Camara and Drew Holiday. Now, you start thinking about what that roster looks like for the Portland Trailblazers. Where would you put them in the Western Conference right now? Their starting five was Giannis Antetokounmpo, Drew Holiday, Deni Avdija. You got Toumani Camara, and then, I don't know, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe. You could go the other way with Klingon as the big. The Portland Trailblazers would be set up right now as one of the top teams in the Western Conference. I don't know if I would put them in tier 1 with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they would absolutely be right there with the Houston Rockets and with the Denver Nuggets, competing for home court advantage in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Hockey fans, if you're really upset with this, you can actually just add Shaedon Sharpe right into that deal and it still works. However, I think this is not to make the Bucks competitive right now, but it allows you to rebuild, especially as we start getting closer and closer to juicier NBA drafts with the prospect classes that are coming up. It really positions the Bucks to actually have a direction moving forward. Now, it doesn't feel good to punt on Giannis, right? But at least you're not sending him to a major market team like the Knicks or the Lakers or anything like that. You get to send him. He reunites with Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, who has been down in the dumps since being sent from Boston to Portland, now gets to get reunited with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then all of a sudden, you have a team that you can root for in the Western Conference. Now, do I think this is going to happen? Absolutely not. But to me, this is the first deal that makes sense for both sides. The deals that have been put forth over the last couple of weeks, or the potential deals, like with the New York Knicks, that would be like Cat and Bridges, or trying to get him to the Spurs. The Spurs ones actually made sense because they were getting a lot of young assets back. This is the first one that makes sense for both teams, in my opinion, because it allows Milwaukee to have a direction moving forward, and it gives the Portland Trailblazers a real chance to compete in the Western Conference. And the Portland Trailblazers have been desperate to have something to root for and to care about the basketball that's being played in March. So I'm rooting for this one to happen. If it's going to happen, let this happen. Bucks fans, let me know how mad you are in the comments. Portland fans, we can all crack some champagne together and pop some bubbly. I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging in for this little tinfoil hat edition of the NBA Bit. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe on the way out.